Especially when I was in Manipur, there's a place called as Churachandpur. That is where the entire conflict began actually. I explored a lot of areas which are not accessible to, so I would just get on this bike, take me to deep places in Manipur where no other tourist would be able to go.
How's this unexplored places look like?
I used to get phone calls from my family, don't go here, don't go there, no, it's dangerous. Yeah, I could actually go to so-called dangerous places.
We know all the areas in India are not like accessible for the common people, right?
Yes.
Like especially when we talk about borders. Is there any point where you felt your life is at risk?
Yes, I did have a lot of challenges. I had to spend almost half a night under a rock. If I would have relied on the documentaries and articles and the news, news channels to understand what Manipur is, I probably would have had a different perception. But having gone there and interacted with those people, I know that place in a very, very different way. So nothing like going and experiencing.
We know all the areas in India are not like accessible for the common people, right?
Yes.
Like especially when we talk about borders.
Yes.
We know there are very, very much risky places.
Yes.
Where we can't go. But
Yes.
have you traveled through any of those?
I could, thankfully. So I got a lot of support during my journey from Central Reserve Police Force, Forest Department, Army, Assam Rifles, Sashastra Sena Bal, you know. So Postal Office, when I was in Andhra, one of the Postmaster Generals, he was in touch with me and he supported me a lot. So thanks to Army and Central Reserve Police Force, I could go in some areas which are really not accessible to common people and see what's happening. And that was a big adventure.
Yes.
And especially when I was in Manipur, for example, there's a place called as Churachandpur. That is where the entire conflict began actually, the Kuki-Meti conflict. So I was in touch with Pastor Manga, and he put me across to one of the theology professors in Churachandpur. So thanks to him, I explored a lot of areas which are not accessible to, so I would just get on his bike and he would take me to deep places in Manipur where no other tourist would be able to go, and those people were so supportive and nice to me. So I used to get phone calls from my family, don't go here, don't go there, it's dangerous, but nothing happened, they were so nice. So yeah, I could actually go to so-called dangerous places, but they look dangerous from outside, but people there are really wonderful.
But how's this unexplored places look like? We are very much interested, to know about more.
Yes.
Especially when we talk about the Seven Sisters, we know they are very much high, having very much rare species of plants, very much.
Oh yes, it is extremely rich in biodiversity.
Yeah.
Extremely rich, very beautiful, and each part of Northeast is different. I mean, for us, we sit here, it's Northeast, but the Assam is so different from Tripura. Meghalaya is so different from Nagaland. It's so different from Manipur. It's so different from Arunachal. In Meghalaya itself, like if you take Garo Hills was one section, the Shillong and that area, Khasi, that as one section, Jantai Hills as one section. They're so different. And what you see Meghalaya in brochures is very different. They show you only the beautiful parts. But like if you go to Jantai Hills, for example, okay, the Garo Hills are still untouched, very beautiful. Khasi Hills are a little touristy now, but they're building big roads and blasting it. So that's actually, but Jantai Hills, what I saw, like Baitinda and that area which connects to Assam again, terrible. There's a lot of stone mining happening because Bangladesh has no stones. So these guys, they just blow up the mountains, take all the stones and sell it in Bangladesh. It's crores of some 18 crores per or whatever. So then limestone mining for the cement factories. There are cement factories. Cement factories, of course, a lot of cement manufactured, and then all the polluted water goes in the river, and that river flows into Assam and Bangladesh.
Oh.
So that part is really destroyed. So the biodiversity is getting destroyed. But yes, overall, Northeast still is much more protected and beautiful and pristine as compared to the mainland India. Yes.
Is there any point where you felt your life is at risk?
No, not life at risk, never. But yes, I did have a lot of challenges. Like there was times, especially I was in Arunachal on the Indo-China border. So I was cycling from Tawang to a place called Zimitang, and I was crossing a village. The villagers said, it's going to be a little dangerous, so stay with us. Next day you go. But I said, no, it's beautiful. I would just like to go on my own. So they gave me some food and all. I had nice. They have a buttered chai,
Uh-huh.
So I had that, and moved on, and it started raining. Thankfully, I had a raincoat and all, so I continued cycling. I thought I'll reach, but the rain was so. I was crossing a river. It was flooded. Then I didn't know what to do, and then unfortunately, I was so confident that I'll reach. I was not even carrying my spare food, which normally I would. So then I had to spend almost half a night under a rock. You know, in a thick jungle, there's a huge waterfall, and there's a rock just before Simitang, and I was not scared, but yeah, I was hungry. So I had that small issue. But then, fortunately, what happened was then from nowhere, there was a car coming from the opposite direction. He saw me. He said, "You just go 2 kilometers, and there is a army camp, and they'll help you." So then I took my cycle through the rain. I went. There was this Maratha regiment platoon post out there, and because I'm a Maharashtrian, and I assume Major was of course from Kolhapur or somewhere. So then I went and spoke in Marathi, and then he kind of took care of me, you know.
Okay.
So but yeah, so I had a few incidences like this. There was time when I was stuck, but most of these incidences were in Northeast, you know, because the terrain is so difficult.
Yeah.
So yes.
What is the major lesson you learned with this journey?
Many lessons, but from the climate change perspective, you know, it's important that it is more of reinforcement of my understanding. That is, we have to change before the climate changes. If we don't change our habits, the problem is only going to multiply. Second lesson was, if I have to understand a specific culture, place, best is to go there. If I would have relied on the documentaries and articles and the news, news channels to understand what Manipur is, I probably would have had a different perception. But having gone there and interacted with those people, I know that place in a very, very different way. No, so nothing like going and experiencing. You know, climate change is not going to be solved by any technology or by engineers. The solutions, they lie in politics and economics. You know, so I think it's important for us to have a very different outlook. You know, just by having some better technology is not going to solve this problem. It is a much larger problem. The solution lies in economics and politics. So these are a few things which I really learned. You know, and you don't have to plan everything. You know, in fact, the more you plan, probably more you mess it up. You know, like for example, this journey, I come from management background. I have handled projects before. So when I was planning this cycling journey, I thought I will make an Excel sheet: day 1, day 2, day 3, activity 1, activity 2, activity 3. And I will do this and run it like a tight project. You know, tight ship. But when I started planning, I had Google Map. Okay, first day 100 kilometers, I'll go here. Then let me call and see what is around. You know, all these things. Then day 1, day 2, day 3, day 10, I realized this is not happening. You can't plan a journey like this, you know. So I said, just forget the Excel sheet, I'll just go there, and I started cycling. And now when I look back, there was no way I could have planned the beautiful journey and the enriching experiences I've had. You know, so yeah, sometimes it's just let go. I think that's the best thing, you know. So yeah.
We know you are a professor.
Yes.
And you teach many students, especially about management, marketing.
Yes.
And we know that has a big thing to deal with this development and also to protect the environment. So what will be the change which you will bring in your teachings to your students after this journey?
So that is something which I've already started doing. So those few cases which I talked about, Om Baba, where I stayed with him in Chambal Ki Ghati, or Ranjit Singh, the puncture wala I met in Jalandhar, or Ranjit Singh Tamang, whom I met in Sikkim, you know, near Namchi. So I take I have written articles on these, and there are quite a few more. Okay, and published on the LinkedIn and some newspapers and so on and so forth. So whenever I conduct these sessions on business analytics, or any topics which I teach, or even when I address senior management people on some forums, I actually use these articles as case studies, so that their perspective of looking at climate change and at these people whom they pursue as uneducated changes. You know, So when I go in a business analytics class to teach all the concepts, I would use these articles, and they suddenly the students, okay, I mean, the article about an uneducated guy, what am I going to learn from it? But towards the end of the class, they realize, oh, okay, there's so much to learn from these people. So yeah, I am attempting to do that, and it's really working.
Like, what can we do as a general public to contribute to spread the message of climate change, or to reduce the impact of climate change on our
Yes.
environment?
See, when you say climate change, and the message which I was carrying is change before climate change. So it is derived from Gandhiji's two statements. One is be the change.
Yes.
So I have to change myself. Second is the earth has enough for everybody's needs, but not even a single person's greed, because greed has no bounds. So these two quotes put together was this message: change before climate change. Now, if I have to be the change at an individual level, there are these 5 R's that we all must follow. One is refuse. Any product or a service which I know will damage my environment, which is harmful for the climate, I have to refuse it. So a simple thing like plastic bag, refuse, right? A plastic bottle, refuse. Aerated drinks, refuse. Now, it's not always possible to refuse everything. Say the plastic bottle will come into my house, the plastic bag will come into my house. So in that case, you at least repurpose it.
Yes.
So don't throw it away.
Reuse, right?
Use it for something else.
Okay.
Okay. Use it for something else, that is repurpose. Okay. So like, I'll give you an example. So I was in a place called Bomdila in Arunachal. Now I saw a house. This guy, he had built a whole fence, so bamboo framework and all the plastic bottles mounted, all those cold drink bottles. No? So he was using all those bottles to make a fence. The people who use all the beer bottles to build beautiful walls of the house.
Yes.
So that is repurposing, right? So that is refuse, repurpose, then recycle. Okay. In fact, recycle, reduce, reuse. That is what we all know, right? These 3 R's are very popular, right? So once you've finished repurposing, at least then recycle it, okay, shred into pieces, and then reuse it. So if you follow these 5 R's in your life, at least you would have done your bit for the climate change. So that's what I think we all should do.
When you went to schools and you talk to the children, we know they are the future of our country, and we have so much hope in them. Especially when we talk about Gen Alpha, Gen Z, and all. They are like. Do you think they are more aware of this environment, or should they be given more information?
They are aware, definitely, and interestingly, I found a lot of awareness even in rural areas. When I was going to the rural school, they would plant trees, and the teachers are doing a fantastic job. In fact, these 5 R's which I told you, I learned it from a book. So while I was cycling, I didn't know. For me, it was only 3 R's: reduce, recycle, reuse.
Yes.
But when I was staying with one of the school teacher in one of the villages in Kutch, so I was just cycling. I got tired cycling. I went to a school. I said, so he said, why don't you come and stay with us? So then evening we had dinner, and this the son of the school teacher, school principal actually, so I was curious, what do you study in environmental studies? Show me a book. And the book, I saw 5 R's. I said, okay, I already knew reduce, recycle, reuse.
Yes.
But refuse and repurpose are very strong R's, and the most important. So I learned that, So I learned all this from those school children. So awareness is there, but it is not their problem. It is a problem created by us and the generation before us. And we are the ones who are actually leaving a terrible planet for them. So it's not their fault, but unfortunately they have to deal with it. And they are aware, and hopefully I do see a hope that they will do something.
Sure.
Provided we don't continue damaging more.
Yeah.
So, else they'll have nothing left to do. They won't quit.
Like, as a business professor, what do you think about what should a business prioritize? Like, we always prioritize profit, right? But now we know there are eco-friendly things which they are trying to include as CSR projects.
Correct.
And many like that. So what should a businessman or an aspiring businessman should do to protect our environment?
See, so all the business models have to bring in or build in sustainability within the model itself. Normally what happens is the climate change is looked at as one of the CSR activities.
Yes.
I've made a lot of money, 2%, give it, go plant trees. They survive, don't survive, what happens, I don't know. And most of the time the CSR fund is again designed in such a way that it's plowed back in the business. So there's a lot of greenwashing which is happening, you know. So I think we really have to build sustainability into every business model, and especially our sales and marketing should not be to push consumerism and push the product more and more for people to consume more and more, because that way you increase your sales. Like for example, now climate is changing, it is becoming very warm, so all over Kashmir, all over Europe, all over Dehradun, people are buying air conditioner. So ideally air conditioner, the business is,
Hi,
you know,
yes.
they're very happy, oh I'm selling air conditioners, but how long will you be happy? When the climate is warm, even the air conditioner is going to start failing, and then you yourself, your house is going to be on fire at some point. So you have to understand that, you know, you don't look for short-term profits. Build sustainability in the business model itself and not as some side CSR activity. So I think that is very important.
Anyway, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
It's this journey of 20,000 kilometers. I think you were able to transform at least 100 of people and change their mind, or to put a seed of this message in their mind. And that's a great thing which you can do for this nation. Thank you so much for your journey and spending this much time with us.
Thank you for having me and helping me to amplify this message. I think all the media channels, media houses, media platforms should, help amplify this message, and they can do their bit to make people more aware. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.